Hello and welcome to another episode of the Deceptive Reality Podcast. My name is Nick, and
with you is your boy Bert. Listen,
my boy Bert.
We're gonna get t-shirts. I'm pretty sure. Listen, the world needs it. It's your boy Bert t-shirt.
Yeah, there's hardly enough t-shirts to go around these days. We need more.
I mean, for those of you that can see, I got my doggone Loch Ness Monster, my Sasquatch, my doggone UFO. You know what we used to call the I almost screwed up. You know what we used to call the Sasquatch in our video game, Nick?
Sam Squanch?
No. Well, that too. You actually said
Sassy.
That. Nope. That's a good one too.
Oh, okay.
We used to call it sassafras.
Oh, that's right. Well, I think mostly it was you calling it sassafras.
Maybe.
I'll tell you the scariest moment of my life when I was dragging that sassafras back to the camper and someone played a little prank on me.
Well, listen, it keeps you alive, Nick. It's good to get the heart going.
Almost killed me, really.
Yeah, we used to play a game was it called Finding Bigfoot? What was the name of it? It
was called Finding Bigfoot, but then I think they got in legal trouble with the TV show of the same name.
Yeah.
So I think it was just changed to Bigfoot or something like that.
Well, I know we had a blast with that game. When it first came out, we was like, this is so dumb. We have to play it. And it was me and you and Sniper.
Yeah.
We were basically a trio. Yeah. And we had to go find Bigfoot. We had to take him down and we had to get him back to the enclosure.
Yeah. My buddies died.
And, well, you didn't protect us, Nick.
Well, when I'm shooting in games, if I shoot near you, I'm shooting at you. So
one of them things.
I couldn't do that. But we downed him. I think you had died, right? Like you probably died taking him down.
I did. Well, we can say that. They'll never know. Right.
No one will know.
No one will
no
evidence. Know. Yeah, I took him down I took one for the team, boys.
Took one for the team, which means I didn't have to share any of the Sasquatch money.
That's right.
But we took him down like the furthest point from the cage where you have to drag him to, and you don't kill him.
Mm-mm.
You knock him out, and you're dragging him real slow on a little sleigh, and he's like. Like, and I didn't know. I thought, well, he could come to any minute now. Is this like a thing where he's unconscious for X amount of minutes? I didn't know. And then what happened, Bert?
Well, listen, he made a new noise. I don't know what could have possibly happened.
I thought he made a horrifying howling noise. I think I had to change my pants.
Oh my god! It scared the Are you doing that or did he do that?
I did that. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Oh my gosh! I'm about to myself. I'm terrified right now. Oh my god. That was terrifying. Terrifying, Flimsy.
That was hilarious.
I was wondering why Flimsy hadn't talked in a while.
I was prepping something.
But it was actually just the trickster Bert howling into the microphone.
Listen, for those of you that don't know, I used to stream video games back in the day. And, when you stream, you got to have some fun stuff from time to time. So I would have my voice changing devices and, I may have added a little bit of bass and made my voice a little bit deeper. And then I may have. And for anyone that doesn't know, Nick was already on edge a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And anyone that doesn't know, when Nick gets nervous, he does this laugh where he goes, like, I don't even know how to do it. Like
I can't do it if I'm not scared. So,
but it's
a nervous laugh.
You can tell when Nick is a little nervous because he has that little bit of a laugh. And yeah, soon as I heard that, I said, this is game on, boys.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, when you did that, it suddenly became a not family friendly stream. Like, I am sure, like, my inner place that I'm from came out and I was swearing a blue streak. And I don't think I've been that scared, honestly.
Well, like I say, Nick, it keeps you in a good vibe. It keeps you full of energy and full of life.
Full of pea and vinegar, like they say around here. Well, they don't say it exactly like that, but you know what I mean.
Well, speaking of being scared, Nick, I am going to go into a topic.
All right.
Here today. For anyone that doesn't know, you're probably like, what are they talking about today, folks? Well, listen, we could be talking about a whole bunch of different things today. That's the beauty. We're changing this format a little bit. We're going to basically do what we initially set out to do on this podcast. And by that, what I mean is what the initial thought process was, we was going to bring multiple stories to our podcast, much like Unsolved Mysteries. If you would have watched that back in the day, Robert Stack didn't talk about one story.
Right.
He talked about multiple stories. And that's really what we set out to do. But then we was like, in the beginning, we kind of got to find our vibe. We got to figure out how to do this. So we kind of stuck to the format of one story, and now
we kind of chickened out, to be honest.
We did.
Yeah, we really super produced one story each week.
Correct.
Chickening out.
Which is cool if you guys like that one story. But here's the thing. If you don't like the first story, hang around. You might like one of the rest of them. So
yeah, just
FYI. But before we get to talking about scary, because I got a pretty good scary story for us, I think, Nick. I want to talk about some comments this week. We need to come up with like a name for this segment.
See, I haven't read these. I don't read the comments.
It's probably
so we'll
safer.
come up with a name after we hear what these are like, I guess.
Yeah, because trust me, it's probably safer you don't read the comments. There's days I love reading the comments. I'm like, man, these people get us. And then there's some days where people maybe don't get us so much, Nick.
And I'm assuming that's what these are.
Well, let's just start with number one, okay?
All right.
For anyone that doesn't know, we did an episode on the Majestic 12.
Right.
And we did a full video. And I'm debating on if I'm going to put this person's name. I'm probably not. Listen, I'm not going to be a jerk, okay? This was not one of those topics that it blew up right away.
Right. But it caught someone's attention. Now, I'm going to tell you what they said. Okay.
Again, we're going to leave names off. I've not responded to this comment, by the way, because I don't really know how to respond to it.
Yep.
So the Majestic 12 video, they said, and I quote, let me take my glasses off because I need to be able to see close up.
Right.
They said, perfect soundtrack. It's just me, God conscious. I need new format genes and some human interaction somewhere in some loop. Smiley face.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Literally
do it one more time. I think I just had a stroke.
Yeah. I think they had a stroke when they put this. Nick. They said, perfect soundtrack. It's just me.
Don't know what that means. Okay.
God conscious. I need new format genes and some human interaction somewhere in some loop. SUM loop. Some loop. Smiley face.
I don't know what that means.
At first, I was like, maybe it's auto-corrected. And then I thought, like, maybe it's lyrics to like a song. So I looked up what song it would be because I didn't know a song with those kind of lyrics.
Right.
No song with that lyric.
I got no idea.
Yeah. So anyway, we got that one. And then this one I thought was just kind of funny because, I find stuff like this funny. Remember when we did that episode on the Mandela effect?
Yeah.
And we did a short on the Mandela effect where we basically talked about how we are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions
of the world. And it hurts
the world.
me. And it hurts me that I'm not supposed to sing that part. Because it never happened.
You know how many times I've always sang it that way?
Every time I've sang it that way.
Every single time. That's the words.
I remember.
Dude, these last two are hurting my head already.
It does
I'm
hurt.
looking this up too.
It does hurt. And I've listened to this song since. And it hurts.
Right?
Yeah, I think we were corrected a few times on that.
Numerous times. But this one's is my favorite. Because out of curiosity, who was we talking about, Nick, in that short?
Queen.
Queen, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say this person's name either, because that would not possibly be nice. He said, this person said, obviously, you guys are not Dipset fans. The song does indeed say of the world. Go listen to We Are the Champions by Jim Jones and the Diplomats. They use the song in their track, and it does say it. Here's the problem. We wasn't talking about that band in the short or in our podcast or like, it's cool that you like the Dipsets, whoever that is. I don't know who that is. So
I think I get what this person's getting at though.
The song has the lyrics.
They used a sample in that band's thing that probably had the live version.
Well, Queen would have
brought us onto.
Queen would have came. I mean, the Queen was out when? The 19.
Oh, no. I think this Dipset thing, whatever it is, they sampled Queen and it just happened to have that part on it, is what I'm guessing.
It could be.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We would never know about Dipset because we don't listen to Dipset.
No. I might listen afterwards.
Yeah, because now I'm curious. I'm totally curious. I got to find out what's going on.
Yeah. So you successfully promoted them. So
you did promote them.
I mean, that's good.
That's for sure. But if you've not seen our episode on the Mandela Effect, definitely check it out. I think it's interesting. Yeah. It's the old format. We're in the new format. And speaking of new format, we was talking about things that are scary, Nick.
Yes. Yes. What are some things that are scary?
Well, for those that maybe have no clue, we've been talking about a little bit. We, and by we, I mean myself, Nick, and currently my wife, if I can still finagle her to go, we're going to be going to 2 properties this year, and we're going to start doing our very first paranormal investigation.
Right. Maybe people will hear my nervous laugh. Maybe that's a good time to.
I bet they will, Nick.
You know,
I bet they will. You know, here's the thing: the haunted Hinsdale house.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been talking to the guy that basically runs their page,
right?
One of their pages, anyway. And I've struck up a pretty cool relationship and some investigators that have done that property. And the big thing for him is he always wants to make sure that the Dandy family story is always extremely accurate. Like that's a big thing for him. And he gets frustrated when people do not tell that story correct. So when we go there, obviously I want to tell the story correctly.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that location is it's not necessarily known to be nice there.
I'm liking it already.
Yeah. So they're thinking there's activity there that like one of the paranormal investigation groups that goes, it's not a group, it's a guy, but his name is Link Dandy Paranormal Network.
Mm-hmm.
And on his very first time there, it was him and a guy that was helping him set everything up.
Right.
Went through the entire day, nothing. Didn't have anything. He's laying in bed. And when he's laying in bed, he hears the sound of the doorknob turning from the outside.
Spooky. I can hear it in my mind's eye.
Me too. It's kind of spooky.
And my mind's ear, I guess.
So he hears this and he goes, oh, crap. Like someone's breaking into the house. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah. Because
people do go there unannounced because they're curious about the stories that they hear.
Man, I wonder if that's something we're going to have to worry about.
It probably is. We need to be careful when we go there. Right. Obviously, there's signs about trespassing and stuff like that. But that being said, people do show up.
Right.
And they want to stop by and see if people will give them a tour. Well, unfortunately, when we're there, you're not getting a tour. We're going to tell you to leave.
Right. Yeah.
Because we're doing our investigation. We can't afford to have somebody, screwing our time up because it's a very limited time frame.
Yeah, that's our time.
Correct. We paid for that. Time. It's not free to go. It's not like they're like, hey guys, come on down for free.
Party at the Hinsdale house.
Exactly. No. So we're going to be going there, but on Link's, when he hears this noise and he hears someone potentially breaking in,
right,
he started thinking, well, wait a second. If someone was breaking in, I would have heard these footsteps walking up the porch and I didn't hear that.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, wait, this has to be what I've read about and what I've, been told to experience here. This has to be a ghost rattling the doorknob. So he said, once he figured that out, he's like, well, shoot, now I'm going to go to sleep. And he just fell asleep.
Well, man, that must have been a stress sleep or something. That seems like the time I'd wake up.
That's me too. But listen, maybe for him, it's just not as big of a deal. When he woke up the next morning, he had a bite on his hand.
Oh,
a bite mark. Now, the interesting thing about the bite mark, and for those of you that's listening, I'm sorry. If a regular person's going to bite, because it was the inside of where the thumb and the fingers come in, a regular bite would occur, kind of like in a circle like this. Like if this bite mark was the opposite direction. So like if you're looking at the back, it would have went like up, like almost up like this.
Yeah. That's a big mouth.
That's a huge mouth. He said it almost was like dentures is the best way he could explain it. But for the thing to be able to bite him, it would have had to have bit him from the wrist pointing towards the thumb and the fingers.
Right.
So that's how weird. He was like, well, this is impossible. Like, I can't even replicate this because, in addition to that, he had scratch marks on his thighs and he had a burn on his lip.
A burn on his lip.
A burn on his lip. It's almost like someone took a cigarette and put it right on their, right on their lip.
I hope my beard don't get melted.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, how spooky is that? But we're going to be going to those properties. And one of the things that people talks about is they wonder if there's like a demon there, or some people think that it's possibly like elementals that are there. But there's a very good possibility that there's demonic activity there.
Right.
And I'm curious how that's going to go.
That's my jam.
That is your jam.
I'm into it.
When they talk about demonic activity, though, that gets a little bit spooky because it's a different, like you really have to go into that significantly different than just, hey, there's ghosts here and they used to be people and they're really nice.
I don't say that about ghosts ever.
Oh, I do.
I think all ghosts are mean.
I want to think they're all nice.
No, I want to think they're all mean.
Well, speaking of all this, I've got another little story that you might find fascinating. You may have heard of it. I don't know.
Okay.
Speaking of demons, I think we talked a few months back about Jack Osbourne, the Osbourne family. They've got the Osbourne network now.
Yeah. They're such fascinating people.
Oh, they're so cool. I really like Jack because really all the family at this point.
Yeah.
But Jack has created all these ghost shows and he's a part of these ghost shows. In fact, the podcast that he runs is called Ghosts and Grit.
Okay.
And basically what he does on this podcast is he tells about all the ghost experiences from the television shows that he's been doing. Right. So what really was interesting was he came out with an episode for his podcast. And I'm pulling up information here. I don't want to say anything incorrect here. But
don't mislead us, Bert.
People
will comment.
That's what I was just going to say. They love to comment. So I don't want to screw that up. Trust and believe. But
it's good that people are paying attention and they want things to be accurate.
That is true.
I praise that. Like, that's cool.
I'll give them a little break, Nick. Just a little one. I'm not going to give them a full break.
Yeah, we're not ghosts. We can be nice.
Sometimes. But on the January 3rd episode of this year, and we're recording this on the 27th.
Yeah. So not that long ago.
Not that long ago. We're talking 3 weeks roughly?
Yeah. Yeah.
He is no longer doing paranormal investigations.
Wow. That's quite a shift.
That's huge
his
shift.
Whole thing, really. Yeah.
And if you think about it, he came out with that episode or that show where he and Ozzy would go to haunted locations.
Mm-hmm.
And he even brought his mother along on some investigations.
I love when she's involved.
She's funny. Sharon is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I found it very interesting why he said he's stopping.
Yeah, I was going to ask, but I assume that we were heading in that direction. Like, what's his deal?
So for everyone at home, I do have a video that I want you guys to watch, and I want Nick to see it. Now, I've edited this down a little bit.
Right.
And I kind of want to talk about this because I think there's a lot to this that could fit into the realm of what Nick and I could potentially have. Because again, we're talking about demon activity and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video for Nick, and then we're going to watch it here. We're probably going to commentate over part of it also. Nick, I'm getting ready to stream this over to you so you can watch it.
Yeah, my clicking fingers ready.
Oh, look at that, man. He's already ready. This is how you know we're professional.
That's right. 100%.
We're going to click go live. You should be able to see it now, Nick.
Yep. Yeah, I got it right now.
So check this out. I thought this was really...
Is that Jack?
That's Jack.
Man, you wouldn't recognize him or his sister from the show when they used to have it.
No, and he talks about that. And is either his podcast before last, he's talked about, because I still watch him, but now he's changing. Like he's going from ghost hunting to just doing a podcast where he's living his life.
Okay.
Like different interesting things that he finds. But yeah, check this out. I find this interesting.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll get into it. You know, about 18 months ago, information came to me that led me to believe that I had a pretty significant kind of negative attachment. It was affecting myself. It was affecting members of my family. Whether people listening to this believe me or not, I don't care. I believe this is what happened. And I was told that it was a kind of demonic entity. I was given its name. And
I found it interesting that he said, we know the name, or I know the name, but he didn't say it. Do you know why that is, Nick?
Why he didn't say the name?
Why he did not say the name.
Doesn't want to call upon it kind of thing? Or
correct. So what the theory is that when you have the name and you provide the name and you say it out loud, it gives it power.
Right. But on the opposite end, if you know its name, you have power over it as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Who told him this? Is he going to explain that? Or
he doesn't. It's such a mystery on that part.
Yeah.
But he kind of breaks down the fact of, hey, you know, I've got this information now, and this is what kind of happened in X, Y, and Z. And another thing that I thought was interesting is, you know, his dad, Ozzy, they call him the Prince of Darkness.
Right. You'd think he'd be used to this.
You would think this would not be something that would scare him. And he grew up in a haunted home.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about that. He's talked about that multiple times on his podcast. I didn't mean to pause it, but I thought that was really interesting. But here's some more of it.
Something that had very much been ramped up because of the work I was doing in the paranormal. But I also learned that it had been something that had been around my family for generations. And that's when things start getting weird. When you start kind of going like, wait, what? Like, this is like a generational kind of attachment. And you know, for the longest time, I did not believe in the demonic. I did not believe in that. I just thought that that was too much of a kind of Judeo-Christian belief set on the spirituality, but I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. And after that event of realizing this and then going, okay, I have to figure out how to engage with more of the positive and the light and like not lean into the dark elements of this anymore, I had the realization that like I don't think I can be doing paranormal investigating like I did.
So it's one thing that I thought about when I watched this episode, because the media house thing kind of stopped.
Right.
And he broke down that it was basically a money pit. Like it was costing so much money to produce and all these people that was hired. But I noticed the Ghost and Grits thing also kind of stopped and it changed a little bit. And think about it. Let's say you don't believe in demons, right? And people's calling your dad the Prince of Darkness and, you know, Ozzy.
It's like a gimmick for you. Really.
To a degree, yeah. It's absolutely what it's like. But then you're sitting there and you're like, oh, his dad bit a head off the bat and spit it out. And like, you know, that to a degree, some people would say, well, that's a very demonic thing to do.
Right. That, you know, that was a total accident, by the way.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
Like people were throwing like rubber stuff and things on the stage.
Right.
And he just thought it was that.
Right.
So once he bit in, he was like, oh crap.
Yeah, that kind of it will give you for sure. But here's the thing. Was it an accident or was that set up by the other side?
You mean like it might have been an accident for Ozzy, but it was planned by the demonic forces or what have you? Because
it goes back to what Joe was talking about. There's a time shift. There's no time for them. So time is on its own plane.
Yeah.
And they can weave things through the generational years.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's in their best interest to do this kind of stuff because how many people did Ozzy get into the dark arts and the darker things in life? If you want to look at it from that kind of view, like he was one of their great salesmen.
Right. 100%. And that's why, you know, we talk about it all the time. Sometimes you are whether you want to or not, you're selling a product.
Right.
And you're just a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if demons exist, and that's what they are, they're pranksters and jokers and, you know, they're
midnight tokers.
Yep. Midnight toker. You know, if they're really, you know, unfortunately for us, malicious in what they do, malevolent, you know, and the question becomes, how do you know that they didn't set this stuff up and put it into like a thought process or maybe expand on that part of your life to sell the product they're looking?
I think it'd be a good deal for them. I can't see why they wouldn't do that.
And especially when it comes to music, right? Music is it's one of those things that it moves people, whether good or bad.
Maybe he made a Robert Johnson deal. Maybe he was in on this.
Correct. The Ozzy Osbourne story is extremely interesting if you go back and listen to it. But, you know, it's not just Jack Osbourne. You know, when he came out with this and he talked about this happening, I started remembering that Sharon Osbourne had a situation that happened on one of Jack's shows just like 2 years before.
Oh, okay.
And it happened. Her case happened December 17th of 2022. And what happened was Sharon went to the hospital for what was basically like a very weird thing. And they never talked about it. They would just like, there was a Perez Hilton article that was talking about it the moment that it happened, and TMZ talked about it, but the family themselves didn't really talk about it until a podcast that came out in July of last year.
Okay.
And I've got a small snippet from that podcast. I kind of want you to see, because it does show a snippet of what happened on that investigation.
Oh, yeah. I'll watch anything with Sharon and Ozzy anyway. So.
Well, this has all of them. It has Sharon, Jack, it has Kelly, and Ozzy. So it's got all four.
Okay.
But they talk about this moment.
I think out of all of us, you're the most non-believer.
Shun the non-believer. Shun.
So Let's take a look at this clip of when you participated in Jack's night of.
For the record, before we get too deep into this, I freaking love Ozzy. Like, look at his face. He's like,
I know.
what the heck is we watching, Sharon? What are we watching?
Do you know what the Shun the Unbeliever was from?
No. I'm assuming, I'm going to guess, and I'm probably wrong.
All right.
It's got to be a UK movie or TV show, and it makes me think that it's something like the Mighty Python or something like that.
Nope.
What's it from?
Charlie the Unicorn.
Oh.
You know Charlie.
All right, guys, you do know that there's no actual Candy Mountain, right?
Shun the non-believer. Shun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see the magic Neopleurodon. It's really cool that they reference that. I love that.
Well, it's the Osbournes. They're a unique flow and style for sure.
Heck yeah.
Para at the Glen Tavern Inn in Santa
Ozzy,
Paula.
man.
And
got weird.
it got really weird and it's unexplainable.
I don't think you've seen this, have you?
I have, yeah.
Sharon, are you okay?
It's very disturbing.
Very disturbing.
What the hell was that?
Have you not seen it before?
Never seen it before.
That's when Mum passed out. Do you remember when we were here and Mum went to go film with Jack?
You thought you died.
Well, she went into she was totally coherent, everything. She put noise-canceling headphones on and a blindfold. She was doing an experiment, which is called the Estes experiment.
Which I think we need to do that when we go to the Hinsdale house.
I did that when we went to ghost hunting in the basements of the archives and the museums in town here.
Yeah, I think that's invaluable to do. I think that that's probably the best methodology to do when it comes to ghost hunting, in my personal opinion.
Right. I had a weird experience with that, but I couldn't tell you how much of it was supernatural and how much of it was my mind getting away with me.
Sure. And that's going to happen.
But, it could be a little of each.
It could be. And that's the beauty of the Estes method. It's the fact that if you can have a conversation and not know what the other person's hearing.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's legit at that point.
Yeah. For me, like the experience, I was starting to feel like heat on my skin from like a fire I was seeing and all this stuff. It was wild.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that. But she was under this Estes method when all that happened. So,
and she asked a question, and then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, over a period of about 2 minutes, she slowly, like as if she was being moved in slow motion, goes back and then goes limp. And I thought she was around because before we started filming, Mum goes, "Oh, well, why don't I just get possessed and we'll go home early?" And we were all like, ha, 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 okay. And then that happened. So I kind of go into the room thinking, oh, she's just around, and she's completely unresponsive, wouldn't respond to me shaking her, wake up, wake up. She then stopped breathing. I had to give her like 2 or 3 resuscitation breaths.
Which, one thing, Nick, if you're under, I don't want to, but I will give you 2 or 3 resuscitation breaths.
Just let me go. I've lived my life.
Come on, man. This is what friends are for.
It's fine. It's fine. And you know what? I probably got sleep apnea anyway. I probably stopped breathing 40, 50 times a night. I don't know how that works, probably.
Well, listen, Nick, I'm here to keep you alive when we do this. So if I got to give me a
Scooby snack and I'll be fine.
I mean, I'm just saying. Don't you worry. I'll bring you back, brother.
And it took paramedics coming, giving her oxygen and like doing vitals for her to even come round. And so when you went to hospital, what did they say to you?
Nothing was wrong.
That doesn't look like nothing is wrong.
So I thought that was interesting because, you know, we talk about the Hinsdale house and we're going to be going and, you know, when you deal with the supernatural and whether someone believes in it or they don't believe in it, I believe in it.
Right.
And, you know, we're going to take certain precautionary measures for when we're leaving the property, but I don't want to take any of those per se when we start because I want to be able to open up enough to where if something's there, I don't want to make it to where it won't come through.
Right.
So to a degree, we're kind of putting ourselves in a little bit of danger to a degree.
But it's like what they say when you go hiking. Leave what you find there, and take what you came with.
Correct.
Right.
That's the best advice, really, if you think about it. But you know, there's Jack that he had. I wish he would explain what happened.
Right.
Like what caused all this because he works with a psychic medium now.
Yeah.
This part of his team. And I would assume like if she got some type of acknowledgement, she would have said it years ago.
Right.
But as far as I know, she hasn't.
Well, there's a lot of people saying they're psychics, and I've met a ton of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've met any that I'd be like, yeah,
they're probably psychic.
I don't think I've ever said that.
That's the thing. It's easy to proclaim to be psychic, and it's easy to, because really there's not necessarily a test and boundary on some of that.
Yeah.
But
no, I feel like they're out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think so too. I mean, technically we've got one on our team right now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Emily Quinn. So Emily's going to be helping us when we go out there. Now, you know, another thing that I found interesting, you got Jack that had that experience. You've got Sharon that had her experience. But, you know, in addition to that, Ozzy has also had an experience relatively recently. I was looking for a video clip, but the only ones I could find had copyright stuff like in it. And I'm like, I can't get past that. And I know I can't.
Yeah, I know that's rough to deal with. I wish it was clean versions of everything.
Me too, man. But he and Jack Jack's show, that maybe that's a problem. They need to stop going with Jack. But anyway, for Jack's show, they went and visited Robert the doll in Florida. Do you know about this doll, Nick?
The only thing I know about it is it showed up in what I was looking into for no apparent reason. So that's all I know. I do know it's creepy as hell looking.
It's definitely creepy. So the long and short story is there was this little boy, and there's two different theories on what happened. I prefer one because it sounds scarier. I'm not saying it's right.
I mean, that's what I would prefer too, probably.
Oh, yeah. But basically, this doll was given as a gift from someone who practiced voodoo, and they cursed the doll.
It's not very nice.
The way the story goes is this doll followed this boy into adulthood and then everything else. And then when they died, it was given to the museum because it was a part of history. When they gave it to the museum, the thing is, they say when you go, you have to ask for permission to take a picture.
Yeah.
You have to ask permission to basically be protected before you leave. If not, the doll will curse you.
Now, is this the Warrens Museum or?
That's Annabelle. No, this is the museum. I forget where in Florida.
I thought they might have him too.
No.
Wait,
no.
Is this the Baggins Museum?
No.
Okay.
That's another one. There's some dolls there too.
Yeah.
This one is it's a Florida. I forget what the name of the museum is.
Right.
But the interesting thing is Jack and Ozzy went there. And of course, Ozzy didn't believe in it and he kind of made fun of it.
Yeah.
And in fact, he bought like a toy version of Robert the doll.
Right.
And shortly after, he was diagnosed with his diseases.
Interesting.
And shortly after, he had his quad accident.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that particular. You know, funny thing is he's met so many probably far out characters.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably seen so many fakers and wannabe devil priests and stuff like that. It probably takes a lot for him to believe in something.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, think about that. He's the Prince of Darkness, man. What do you expect?
Right. Well, here's something interesting that I read recently.
Mm-hmm.
We're going from the Prince of Darkness to probably one of the most widely accepted nice guys other than Keanu Reeves.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're talking Post Malone. Everyone loves Post Malone.
Posty, baby.
Yeah, there's only one person in the world who don't like Post Malone. It's that Charlemagne the God or whatever. He's not even worth talking about. He's an idiot.
That guy's a dipset.
Right. Like, I try not to badmouth people, but that guy's dumb. If you don't like the person Post Malone, it's okay if you don't like his music. But if you don't like the person Post Malone, there's something wrong with you.
Exactly.
So, Prince of Darkness, Post Malone, super famous, nice guy. What a lot of people don't know is when he goes on tours with his band, they have a little hobby going on ghost adventures, ghost hunts and stuff like that. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I wonder if he's been to the Hinsdale house.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that more. He's actually been on episodes of Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures. And
you know, I did see a episode that was, who the heck was it? I forget. It may have been Zach Baggins.
Right.
And I want to say Post was on there, and all he did was laughed the entire time, which is what I think
that's
Post Malone would do. Like, that's Post 100%. But I didn't know he did it like all the time. I just assumed that was someone begged and pleaded for him to, like, he was on the Kill Tony show one time. And like, that's a comedian spot. So you wouldn't expect to see Post Malone there, but he was hilarious on that.
Right. Well, he's been on Good Mythical Morning a bunch of times. He kills on that. Hilarious. And he's actually in the new Jack Black movie, Dear Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Well, the premise of that is a little dyslexic kid writes a letter to Santa, but he writes Dear Satan. So when he posts it, it goes down instead of to the North Pole.
Whoops.
And Jack Black is like the devil, and he starts granting this kid wishes. And one of them is that Post Malone knows and loves him, and he brings him on stage and they all do a concert together. But anyway, Post Malone's awesome. He's awesome in everything.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so Zach Baggins, you mentioned, he's got sort of like a haunted house museum kind of thing going on.
He does.
Now, there's a lot of polarizing ideas about Zach Baggins. Like, some people love him. Some people think he's a hoax and don't like him. Or some people just don't like him. But he got a new item that he calls the most cursed object in the world. And it's a Dybbuk box. Like one of the first ones that people started hearing about.
Yeah.
And he brought it and put it in his museum house. And this is the same house that almost made him go blind and stuff, supposedly.
Is that the Ammon's house?
I think so. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So he hadn't touched it. He hadn't even seen it. And for his first time to see it and touch it, he took Post Malone in with him.
George, Posty.
Yeah, I want you to watch the little video here. It's kind of funny. Tell me when you've got my stream up there.
I have it up now.
Yeah, so I mean, like with his tattoos and hairstyle and stuff, you can tell that's Posty even in night vision.
Posty 100%, yeah.
Yeah, there's no sound on this, but he's in there. And Zach is touching it, and Post Malone's like, let's get out of here. He's like, come on, let's get out of here. He's like, stop touching that. He's like, come on, let's go. He turns on the lights and everything. He's like, it's time to go.
Is there a live version of this with audio?
I don't know. I've only ever seen this one without any audio. I got to look for it. But he's like, he's guys drinking his hand. He's like, come on, that's it. We're getting out of here.
That is funny.
Takes him out of there. So
look at his face.
Yeah, I know. He's like, let's get it. So I'm assuming stuff was going on there, but supposedly that's the most cursed object in the world, according to Zach Baggins. And after this happened, this is when Post Malone had his plane emergency, which was like a near crash kind of thing.
Oh.
He had a car crash right after that. He had a break-in at his home that I think actually ended up with him moving afterwards. like right in a row, just like bang, bang, bang. So these things can curse you just like that doll. What was it? Robert the doll?
Robert the doll. Yeah.
Like that's, and a lot of times when you look this up, it says Post Malone, Robert the doll, but I can't find the connection there.
You know, that would be interesting. If he truly had also visited Robert the doll, it's like at that point, because the way people gets out of curses, like Robert the doll, is they write an apology letter.
Oh, interesting.
And they save the apology letters in the museum. Surprisingly enough, do you know Sam and Colby, the investigative duo?
Yeah.
They're like
I've
huge.
seen some of their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like everyone in the paranormal world, whether they love them or hate them, to a degree, it's kind of like Zach Baggins, right? You either love them or you think they're hoaxes.
Right.
I think they make entertaining videos.
Yeah. That's the main thing I think about them. I don't think anything beyond that.
Right. Well, they visited Robert the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, Colby basically didn't necessarily respect Robert the doll per se. Like
he never
wasn't,
does.
Yeah, it's not like he's being overtly horrible.
Yeah.
But after they left, he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow. They don't get much worse than that.
No. And you know, it was the nether regions cancer is how we'll put it.
Yeah.
So he wrote an apology letter and then went back. He said he spent like a couple of days making sure the letter was perfect.
Right.
And then he went and he read read to Robert the doll. And then he basically asked for him to let him out of the curse. And that's a big thing that he talks about. But, you know, it all goes back to, what does somebody believe?
Yeah.
You know, is it a case where, you know, we already have this assumption, well, this could happen, but I don't really believe in it. And then when bad things happen, do you go, man, that's it. It's the curse. And then you run with that. Or is it a case where, you know, maybe these things do have some type of, you know, special power, whether you believe in that or not? I mean, it could possibly.
It could be. I guess the doll wouldn't be demonic, though, just cursed. Because, I mean, if it forgave people who wrote it an apology, that's not really demonic.
Right. Correct.
You know?
But it's like everything, right? Like everything is polarizing to a degree.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in the demonic realm or you don't believe in it, or, you know, you do believe that something can curse you or you don't believe. Some people say ghosts don't exist, you know, probably 50%. You know, I ran across a video. It's funny that we're on this. Let me see if I can find this video. I did run across this video and I saved it. For anyone that doesn't know, what I'm basically doing, and Nick's kind of doing the same thing, when we find things interesting, we're kind of saving them and we're putting them in a spot. And we're going to do this with like videos and stuff like that too, because sometimes it's visual. And I think it'd be cool for the audience, if you've not ran into this, to see some of it. This is a little bit of an older story. And what this story basically is, in which I've got some stats on it. And let me share this for Nick so he's able to see it once we get there. But basically the long and short of it is, there's a security guard, and the security guard, he's having a conversation with somebody and they're watching him from a tower, right? And I don't want to give too much of the story away. I'm just going to give a little bit, but it's a Houston Medical Center. And they have all these cameras up because, again, it's a medical center. They want to make sure that, you know, there's not someone coming in that shouldn't be coming in. Right. That everyone's protected. And
sometimes even that the employees are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Correct.
Because there was a big story lately of a horrible woman working in a childcare place that was abusing the kids.
Correct. It's just as much for bad guys as what it is for employees, right? And in this case, there's a security guard that's just walking around. And what they notice is the guy's kind of like just talking to himself.
Right.
But he's doing it in a way like, it's almost like he's acting, like he's, you know, preparing for the lines to go out on stage and yada, yada. But on the video, and it's kind of hard, I don't know if it happened right. I think it happened right before this. They hear him very lightly say through the camera monitoring, something along the lines of her name which was Miss Abigail. And it struck the attention of one of the security guards that's inside the booth. So I kind of want you guys to watch this. You can see the security guards just kind of standing there. They're recording the monitor. And they're confused on who he's even talking to. And look at him. He looks like he's holding a conversation.
Oh,
Dispatch
yeah, he really
to
does.
329.
329, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to a elderly lady. I saw her walking by the store, and she said she's looking for Mr. Griffin. Her name is Miss Abigail.
You can hear her drop some.
Did you say Miss Abigail?
Yes, ma'am. She says she wants to see Mr. Griffin, and I told her that the canvas is closed, that she should come tomorrow morning, and she might see Mr. Griffin.
Are you sure you're saying Miss Abigail? Like, she's been passed on for 2 years now.
Come again with that, please?
He's like, what?
Yeah, say that again.
Miss Abigail is she died 2 years ago.
You mean you can't see the person I'm talking to?
No, there's nobody in front of you at all.
There was no hesitation at all. I didn't feel like he was faking it in the slightest.
No, I really don't believe that was fake.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things where I'm like, maybe a little trickery going on there.
Right.
But that was just so sincere that you sit back and you go, if he is having this conversation, and I talk about when I was a kid and the experience that I had, for me, it just looked like you and me.
Yeah.
And in this case, he's talking to a woman, this Miss Abigail.
Right.
That looks just like, what you or me would be.
Yeah. I originally assumed she was on the other side of the glass, but from his reaction,
she was on the inside.
She was on the inside.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of a far out thing, but you remember all the old legends that, like, specifically they say it about vampires, but they said it about all kinds of spirits, is you couldn't see their reflection.
Right.
I wonder if that person was there, they would have saw the same thing, but through a camera, we just can't get it.
I don't know. That's what makes this all so interesting. And, we talk about, like, at the Hinsdale house that we're going to. I'm glad that this one's kind of been around a lot of haunting stuff, but the Hinsdale house that we're going to, you don't necessarily see a lot there, but you do hear things. Right. There's things that's moving. One thing that we both have to be careful of, people just lose items there.
Oh.
Items just flat out disappear and they're never found.
Oh, I better be careful, especially in my wallet.
Correct. All the expensive stuff, right? Like cameras, and like the cameras were going to be taken there and all that stuff. But the family that was there, the Dandy family, talked about things would get misplaced all the time and show up somewhere completely different.
Right.
So, when you think about that kind of stuff happening, that's the Hinsdale house. But the other house we're going to, the Wildwood Sanitarium, that one, people has been able to see entities.
Right.
They've been able to hear EVPs pretty heavy there. So it's two completely different experiences from a paranormal realm.
Right.
But then you see something like this and you go, man, like, what if you actually saw like an app, like he's looking at somebody.
Right. And he can't tell that it's not a physical person right there.
Correct. He just thinks it's a regular person. But, it makes me think, not that anyone's like religious and yada, yada like me, but, they used to talk about the stories of angels and how angels would go into a city and people just thought they were just normal guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get that story.
Yeah.
But you also get other ones where they're like, don't be afraid because they're kind of terrifying.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And that's why I wonder, like, well, what's the realm in that? Like, how do you know which one you're going to get and which one you're not going to get? If
I'm going to see an angel, I want to see one that's 32 wings, 600 eyes, spears floating around. Like, I want to see the one that has to tell me, hey, chill out, Nick.
Yeah, that's
what
one
I
right
wanna
there.
see.
It's got the face of one animal on one side, the face of another animal on the other side. And,
right. And I'm
the big one that they talk about is the eyeballs. There's like a big eyeball in the middle.
Right.
And then there's all these like almost like a Dyson sphere to a degree.
Yeah.
And they're circling, and that Dyson sphere, the little things that come off the Dyson sphere has all these eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's I forget what they call that angel too, but that's like a legit angel. It looks like literally like an eye. I never really thought about that. Like an eyeball and like a sun, and then
like a solar system eye. Or something.
Isn't that kind of creepy? That,
dude, there's nothing that angel could tell me. If it said, don't be afraid, I'm going to be like, why am I going to listen to you friggin' eyeball monster?
Yeah, doggone eyeball monster thing. What are you talking about?
Like, you're just trying to get me close to whatever your mouth might be here.
Yeah, you're like Sully from the Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, like I'm clearly going to be terrified of you. Anything that's got more eyes than me, scary.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. I don't know. Makes you wonder, though.
I still want to see it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but I'm not going to believe it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to believe it as soon as I see it. But until I see it, I don't believe it, Nick. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
People can't make me.
Like, it's going to be like this eyeball monster. He's like, yeah, get into this van. I've got candy.
Maybe it'll work.
Eyeball monster. No.
Maybe it'll work. We don't know.
Yeah. The worst part is if angels and stuff are real, we're making fun of angels right now, and that's not probably good.
Nick is. Record. I am not. This is all Nick's fault.
Yes, that is true.
I don't know. It's interesting.
It's wild stuff, but you never know who he's talking to. Apparently, he was talking to a ghost, and the thing that wasn't answered in that is the ghost was asking for someone who must be there,
right?
Because they never took any issue with what was it, Mr. Rafferty or something like that. I forget.
Something like that. I forget what the name was.
Yeah, no one questioned that at all.
Well, and it makes me wonder if this was a patient and that's a doctor there, because again, it's a Houston Medical Center,
right?
So, if that's the case, I don't know. But that footage, it went viral a while back, and it stirred up a lot of debates. There was a lot of people that's like, oh, it's all acting. You could clearly tell it's a hoax. And then I watched it. I'm like,
yeah, I didn't get that.
I didn't get that vibe. But I feel like it's those people that they're like, well, it's clearly fake. Yeah. How can you people believe this is real?
I can't say that people can do that, because there's some really great liars and there's some really great actors out there.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to go on the record saying is, if he was acting, they'd rehearse that a lot.
A lot. They would have had to have.
Yeah. That's my opinion. What
I find interesting is, in one part, she straight dropped something, and you can hear her drop it after he said, almost like, okay, what? Know, which is what I would have done.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of reminds me of another video I saw, and I guess it stands to reason that like medical centers and morgues and that kind of place would probably have more than their fair share of this stuff. Because there was one guy, he was a security guard. He went outside to have a smoke outside of a morgue.
Yeah.
And they had sort of kind of like stretchers, but not really out there. And they were rearranging themselves. And I got to try and find that video. And that was pretty scary, because that was viral and that supposedly was real.
Maybe we need to try to find that video and tack it on to this episode. I feel bad for everyone. I feel like this has just been the haunted episode, but
that's fine.
But it's I love talking about this kind of stuff, especially with this coming up for Nick and I, which is coming up in September. We're going to be going in September. The goal is to live stream this event, and we'll be live streaming part of it, but then we're going to be coming out with the edited footage. We'll have the raw footage also for anyone that wants to debunk anything that we're doing.
Yeah.
There's only going to be 3 of us in the location. So could be interesting to see. I don't know.
Maybe there'll be an eyeball monster angel.
It's possible.
You never know.
I don't know. What says you all in the comments? What do you think of all of the things that we show today? Is there something that piqued your interest? Is there something that you want us to cover? Is there a viral video? If so, I would love if you would send it. And for us, you can actually send it to our email address if that's easier. You can put it in the comments down below. Tag the channel that did it. I'd be more than happy to give credit where credit's due. But I don't know. I thought this was a pretty interesting episode, Nick.
Yeah, I like this format. I think we'll adopt it as our own.
Yeah, we're gonna take this bad boy and steal it like we robbed somebody.
That's right.
But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it and you've watched all the way to the end of the podcast, you've not hit the subscribe button, definitely hit that subscribe button. Because listen, we need the subscribers. And how else is other people going to find us if you're not even subscribing yourself? Also, if you think you're subscribed, double check and make sure, because sometimes YouTube, we disappear.
Yep. And remember, Deceptive Reality is made possible by viewers like you.
Exactly. That's perfect. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this. Until we see you in the next podcast. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.